Good evening, I'm Adrienne Arsenault.
And I'm Andrew Chang. Tonight, 10,000 dead. COVID in Canada has exacted a heavy toll.
It was a nightmare to lose my mom.
So what lies ahead, and will the second wave be as deadly as the first?
Preparing for a spike in Ontario hospitals.
We have to be ready for anything.
The Prime Minister's COVID fatigue is clear.
This sucks. It really, really does. But we're going to get through it.
And Republicans on the attack against a Republican president.
Our ads aren't mean. Our ads are truthful.
An exclusive glimpse at the force behind those controversial billboards and videos. This is The National.
As COVID-19 infections soared through the first wave and now the second, sometimes a few, too often dozens of people have died by the day.
Their deaths noted in lonely hospital rooms, marked at small funerals, with family farewells mouthed through masks. As of tonight, the virus has taken more than 10,000 lives in Canada. One life, one family at a time. We've chronicled some of that loss, but that terrible number could fill more than 250 walls just like this one. Karen Pauls looks at what those deaths reveal about the pandemic so far and whether the second wave will be different.
Audrey DeCruz still can't believe her mother is gone.
It was a nightmare to lose my mom.
The victim of an outbreak at this Ontario long-term care home, Teresa DeCruz got COVID from a sick roommate.
I feel like our elderly, not just my mom, but all the other people that were in that home, were treated like they're dispensable.
We are learning more about the coronavirus responsible for the pandemic and its victims. 80 to 90% of the 10,000 deaths came in the first wave. More than 70% have been people over 80 years, mostly in long-term care. More than 90% of the deaths were in Ontario and Quebec. In this second wave, more young people are getting sick, but most of the victims remain people over 70 years.
The death rates now in the second wave or the rebound peak are overall lower, and there's fewer of them occurring in the long-term care homes because more precautions are being taken.
For example, we're doing a better job of reducing transmission into nursing homes from staff. And thanks to improved contact tracing and testing, we see more of the virus than before. But what we see is sobering: record-breaking case numbers, rising deaths.
He came from work and he just talked with his roommate that he's not feeling well.
Andrew Ring's cousin worked at a poultry plant in Manitoba. 42-year-old Gabriel Deng sent money to his family in South Sudan.
I'm going to miss him.
Describing the pandemic as a horrific national tragedy, the Prime Minister had this warning.
We need to know that there are more tragedies to come.
Experts say preventing deaths depends on how well we protect the most vulnerable. And we'll see that in the coming weeks and months in the number of cases presenting to hospital. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Now, while COVID-19 hospitalizations are rising, most hotspots are still a long way from the worst levels of the spring. But Magda Gabrasalasa shows us Ontario is preparing for the worst.
Some Ontario hospitals are dealing with too many patients, too few beds. Now promises more are coming.
We're adding an additional 766 beds in hospitals and other healthcare settings across the province.
That's in addition to the nearly 1,500 beds previously announced as part of the government's fall plan to fight COVID.
For our COVID-19 patients, for flu patients, and also for the people that need the surgeries and procedures that we had to postpone during the first wave. That's why today's announcement is so important.
The Canadian Medical Association has been warning too many people are waiting for surgeries, and the governments need to do more.
We have seen that this backlog has increased people's wait times for joint replacements, for cataract surgery, for heart bypass surgery, and diagnostic procedures like MRIs and CAT scans.
Meanwhile, in Toronto, the University Health Network reports at least 4 hospitals are nearly full or overflowing.
There isn't necessarily as big a worry that the hospitals are filling up with COVID patients, but that the hospitals are already full of other patients.
This doctor says the new beds are critically needed right now as we head into winter, which is always a busy time for hospitals.
There is this incredible balance of trying to, deal with the second wave and the patients coming in, but also, trying to deal with everything else that needs to be dealt with in the hospital system.
Hospitals in Ontario were running at an average of 96% capacity even before COVID-19. Magda Gebrselassie, CBC News, Toronto.
As Ontario and other provinces brace for a long, difficult winter, the Prime Minister echoed the frustrations of some Canadians so upset with how relentless this all is.
We're in an unprecedented global pandemic that really sucks. And it's frustrating knowing that unless we're really, really careful, there may not be the kinds of family gatherings we want to have at Christmas. My 6-year-old asked me a few weeks ago, Dad, is COVID-19 forever?
Well, the pandemic certainly isn't slowing down. The problem increasingly goes beyond Ontario and Quebec. At the beginning of the month, the 4 western provinces are responsible for less than 20% of the country's daily new cases. That's grown now to more than 30%. Manitoba alone reported a record 184 cases today. It's now surpassed Quebec for Canada's highest rate of new cases per capita, with deadly outbreaks at hospitals and long-term care homes. This one home is linked to nearly a third of the province's deaths so far.
British Columbia recorded 217 new cases of coronavirus today. That is lower than the 7-day average, but the province says still too high. So Briar Stewart shows us which areas are hardest hit and what new restrictions are going into place.
Every part of this Sikh temple has been overhauled to try and stop the spread of COVID-19. There are limits on how many can come in to pray at once. There's PPE and no more communal meals.
We have to do the precaution.
And the president of the temple has a plea for everyone in the community.
Don't do the parties, big gatherings, So if we are safe, people safe.
Since Friday, approximately 3/4 of all new COVID cases in BC are from the Fraser Health region. It's made up of several cities east of Vancouver, with Surrey being the largest one.
Health officials say the surge of cases in the region has been linked to weddings, social gatherings, and work sites. And across the province, there are now new rules on the number of people allowed inside a home.
The order restricts private gatherings to 1 household plus an additional 6 people.
We have enabled enforcement, but my hope is that we will all pay attention, given what we are seeing.
The city of Surrey is also launching its own educational campaign.
We have to tighten up right now and follow the rules and make sure with the new ones that come in that we comply with it.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Because if the cases don't come down, some worry that the restrictions in place in March and April could return.
We are worried because this could happen again. And at that time, what are we going to do?
Shalita Mawani says her business, Nana's Kitchen, was cut dramatically in the spring. But the employees are all now back, producing 25,000 samosas a day.
And I feel that we have to be more careful being out there with our masks on and more of social distancing and taking a lot of precautions.
So the rate of transmission slows and there aren't further closures in communities. Briar Stewart, CBC News, Surrey.
Well, getting a heads up on potential COVID exposure would be handy in all this, right? Well, of course, there is an app for that. But as Thomas Degla tells us, fewer than 5 million Canadians have it downloaded.
We're on 22. Follow me.
How's this for a return to normalcy? In London, they're lining up for a production of The Great Gatsby, complete with period costumes and QR codes, scanned for an alert in case of an outbreak. In British Columbia, they want something similar.
There are some parameters that they've built into the federal app that we don't feel work.
The app uses Bluetooth to exchange random codes with nearby phones.
Canada's COVID Alert app notifies users of potential exposure, but doesn't say when or where the contact occurred.
If we're going to add more features to the COVID Alert app, there cannot be any trade-off to our privacy.
BC wants to alert users if they visited a place with potential transmission, and the province won't activate the app in the meantime.
Oh, I got it months ago. I've just been waiting and waiting. Something is better than nothing, so it would be good to activate it if there's something that they can report using the app.
I don't know why they would delay it just because they want something specific.
Health Canada says it's considering compatibility with other devices, likely to make COVID Alert accessible to those without a smartphone. There's also a plan to make exposure notifications more precise.
To give users a better sense of when and potentially where that notification occurred?
Not for the where, but for the when, in the sense of being able to alert fewer people within the time window when folks might have been more infectious.
Alberta had its own COVID app before the federal government did. Now it's trying to transfer users from one system to another. In the meantime, though, people in 2 provinces and all 3 territories can't use COVID Alert, leaving them with one fewer tool in this long fight. Thomas Dagg, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, another key tool in the fight against COVID-19 is, of course, our own body's natural immune response to the virus. But a new study from the UK is warning that the antibodies, which are so important to that response, may not last. Christine Birak explains.
The number is slightly higher in Quebec, but experts say just 1% of Canadians have antibodies to fight the virus that causes COVID-19, and mounting studies show they don't stick around.
If those antibody levels are declining, then that means that the population is not as protected as we thought.
The data hasn't been published yet, but researchers in the UK examined over 17,500 antibody tests. In July, results indicated about 60 in every 1,000 people had detectable antibodies. By September, it was just 44, suggesting the number of people with antibodies had dropped by more than a quarter in just 3 months.
As we would expect, young people tended to keep those antibodies for longer, it seemed, and older people seemed to lose those antibodies quicker.
Canadian scientists conducted a similar study using saliva samples. Results found antibodies did fade, but hung around in the majority of COVID-19 patients for at least 3 months. And while there's a risk of reinfection, cases are still rare.
That's telling us that the immune response is doing exactly what it's supposed to between these antibodies as well as other arms of the immune system.
When a virus enters the body, our immune system creates antibodies to stick to it so the virus can't enter our cells. Other arms of the immune system include natural killer cells that can also recognize and kill off the infection.
While the virus can slow down your body's immune response to it, a vaccine can offer your body a preview of the virus before it even arrives.
Vaccines are not held back by those sorts of things. Vaccines can give your immune system a really good kick up the backside and make a very high level of antibody.
Making vaccines the key to safely reaching herd immunity. Christine Birak, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, now we have epidemiologist Rewat Deonanda joining us because can you explain that last part to me? Because don't you have the same problem with vaccine antibodies as you do with natural ones in the sense that they don't stick around for very long?
Well, first of all, in the general population, if you're infected naturally, there's going to be some people who get not a very serious infection, and they're not going to produce as many antibodies, and some people in general don't produce as many antibodies. With a vaccine, we can calibrate the insult such that you produce a large number of antibodies. That's the first thing. Second of all, a vaccine candidate probably has a booster shot built into it to again, produce more antibodies. And third, a vaccine also produces immune response in that second arm of the immune system, the cellular arm, the T cell arm. And all this stuff combines to probably give us a better shot at lasting immunity. But no matter what happens, we'll probably need regular COVID vaccine dosages like the flu vaccine annually or something like that.
Right, because that was going to be my next question. When you raise the idea of booster shots, then is it in fact the case that no matter which vaccine candidate we're looking at, in all likelihood, it will require a shot year after year after year after year?
Yeah, I can't foresee any of the vaccine candidates offering lifetime immunity. I could be wrong, but that doesn't look like the way it's going to go. So the flu, changes regularly, and that requires a different formulation. COVID is going to also mutate, and that'll require not just a different formulation, but also probably additional boosters throughout our lifetime to make sure that we're sufficiently immune.
The new normal. Ray Wationena, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now to another story. The world is watching. 1 week from tonight, election results start pouring in to determine the next U.S. president. Susan Ormiston shows us how the candidates are marshaling their messages and sometimes a famous friend.
He's not running, but as the Democrats' marquee draw, Barack Obama is using his power to hammer Trump with 1 week to go.
What's his closing argument? That people are too focused on COVID. He said this at one of his rallies. COVID, 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 he's complaining. He's jealous of COVID's media coverage.
Pulling votes in battleground Florida at a drive-in rally.
It's about what makes us Americans.
While in Georgia, on another bizarre political stage, Joe Biden doubled down on Trump and the pandemic.
Just imagine where we'd be today if the president had embraced wearing masks instead of mocking it.
Holding his lead in national polls.
Unity over division.
Biden's new ad and his closing pitch are all about unity.
Has the heart of this nation turned to stone? I don't think so.
Early voting is shattering records. More than 67 million have already cast ballots. With 1 week left, Donald Trump is racing to claw back votes.
Donald J. Trump!
Batting away in inclement political weather, he won Michigan last time. This time he trails.
Now I've got to say, I'm working my ass off here.
Working at labeling Joe Biden the lockdown candidate.
COVID, 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 COVID. Well, we have a spike in cases. Do you ever notice they don't use the word death, they use the word cases?
But his pitch is butting up against facts. Deaths are beginning to rise again, and cases nearing record highs in the U.S. today. Democrats' nightmare, a repeat of 2016's final week shift towards Trump. Team Trump says internal polling shows an uptick now and dumped on the public polls as biased and flawed. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Washington.
So our CBC News presidential poll tracker has some fresh data tonight. So let's see how the race might look 1 week out. The numbers suggest Joe Biden maintains a good lead at 53.8%, with Donald Trump polling at 44.2%. As for the Electoral College, the Democrats have 259 apparently safe or likely votes. In order to get the crucial 270 votes needed to take the White House, Biden would have to win Arizona or, say, Pennsylvania, where he now seems to have a narrow lead over Trump. The Republicans appear to have 126 safe or likely college votes. And 1 week from tonight, we are your home on election night. Special coverage begins at 8 Eastern on CBC Television, CBC News Network, and on CBC Gem.
The CBC News investigation has combed through a decade of internal disciplinary actions at Canada's largest municipal police service and discovered Toronto police officers are rarely fired after being convicted of a crime. Farah Morali found out why.
It hasn't been an easy road.
King knows just how much a criminal conviction can change the course of your life. We agreed not to use his full name because of personal safety concerns tied to his past.
2008, I got arrested for firearms, possession for the purpose, and assault police. After 2 years of waiting for trial, I was convicted.
Getting on his feet after being released from jail was challenging.
It's definitely hard to find employment when you do have a criminal record. That's all people see when they see you.
Many civilians with a record encounter similar challenges, but a CBC News investigation has found that most Toronto police officers convicted of a criminal offense aren't fired or forced to quit. We reviewed 10 years of Toronto police disciplinary decisions. A quarter involved officers who'd been convicted of a crime such as assault, impaired driving, and possession of a prohibited firearm. Of those 66 cases, only 3 officers were fired or asked to quit. Ontario's Police Services Act only allows for dismissal in specific cases. It's nearly impossible for an officer to be fired unless they're sentenced to jail time or have a history of misconduct.
The whole section in the Police Act that deals with officer conduct is crying for a real serious review.
So would Ontario's Premier be open to changes to Ontario's Police Services Act?
If there's recommendations from the police board and it involves the province, we're always open to looking at it.
Toronto Police issued a statement which said, in part, disciplinary action is vital in correcting unacceptable behavior, deterring others from similar behavior, and most importantly, maintaining public trust.
Ontario's Attorney General declined to speak to us for an interview about our findings, but said the province has introduced new legislation that would improve police oversight. It's just not clear when that will actually come into effect. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
There's been another major blow to Alberta's oil patch tonight. Cenovus Energy says it plans to cut up to a quarter of its workforce after its merger with Husky is complete. Cenovus announced it had purchased Husky over the weekend in a $3.8 billion deal that is expected to be finalized in 2021. The company says the layoffs will be focused on eliminating overlap between the two. Some 2,000 jobs are expected to be cut, the majority of which will involve staffing cuts in Calgary.
Well, a life sentence tonight for the man behind the so-called NXIVM sex cult.
Keith Raniere will not be able to victimize people anymore.
Next on The National, supporters stand by as the disgraced self-help guru learns his fate.
Trump is not well.
And the Republicans fighting to make sure Donald Trump doesn't win.
Our ads aren't mean. Our ads are truthful.
And fighting COVID-19. How promising is something as simple as vitamin D?
But I think we have to be open-minded. We're in the middle of a pandemic.
We're back in 2.
Welcome back. Keith Raniere, the disgraced leader of the NXIVM cult that had a branch in Canada, has been sentenced to life in prison. He was convicted of sex trafficking and turning some of his followers into branded sex slaves. Stephen D'Souza has more.
He was a self-help guru who manipulated and toyed with women, turning them into sex slaves, branding his initials on their bodies. Now, Keith Raniere has been sentenced to 120 years in prison.
When justice catches up with you, as it did today, it is severe.
Raniere ran NXIVM, a self-improvement company. Victims say he used it to recruit women for his own twisted desires, blackmailing them into silence with sexually explicit videos and photos. In court today, more than a dozen victims recounted the horrors they experienced. One was just 15 years old when Raniere raped her. Raniere's circle of followers included Hollywood actresses and even Canadian heir Claire Bronfman. She's serving 7 years in prison for helping and bankrolling Raniere. Another Canadian, Sarah Edmondson, was a former recruit and one of the first whistleblowers. She addressed court today via video.
I said, "You're not my coach or a guru or a leader. You're a parasite, a grifter, and a liar." And I hope those words impacted him.
She says the sentence brings a measure of closure tinged with sadness.
A really beautiful group was destroyed because he lied to us, to many of us, and there's a mixture of happiness and sadness, and I hope that everyone can heal and move on with their lives.
But in a sign of Raniere's continuing influence, he had a number of supporters in court.
They have started a website, they've put out videos also professing his innocence and claiming that people need to stand up for him because, you know, his case is one of a broken, his case is a result of a broken criminal justice system.
Raniere was convicted of racketeering, sex trafficking, extortion, and obstruction. He insisted he's innocent, and the women are lying.
It doesn't surprise me at all. Keith's a narcissistic sociopath, in my opinion. He can't take responsibility for anything.
Something he'll have a long time in prison to think about. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, New York.
Well, 2 fast-moving wildfires in Southern California have forced nearly 100,000 people from their homes.
Our priority right now is getting people evacuated and out of the path of the fire.
Large swaths of Orange County remain under an evacuation order as strong winds fuel the flames, which have burned through more than 110 square kilometers in a matter of days. The state's utility company says its equipment is under investigation as a possible source of the blaze. Hurricane Zeta pounded Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula overnight with high winds and heavy rain, leaving thousands without power in the region. It's now a tropical storm, but Zeta is expected to regain strength over the Gulf of Mexico before taking aim at the U.S. Gulf Coast. Louisiana has already declared a state of emergency as it prepares for the latest in an extremely active hurricane season. Well, backlash is growing in many Muslim-majority countries against France and its president, Emmanuel Macron. As Margaret Evans tells us, people are angry he's defending cartoons of the Prophet Muhammad, a depiction Islam considers sacrilegious.
What began as a slow burn in response to comments made by Emmanuel Macron last week is now at fever pitch. The French president's image burnt or defaced in displays of anger across much of the Muslim world, from Bangladesh to Pakistan to Iraq. France is warning its citizens in some Muslim-majority countries to take extra security precautions. The backlash began when Macron refused to renounce caricatures of the Prophet Muhammad after a teacher was beheaded earlier this month for showing them in a class on freedom of expression.
Ils ne passeront pas.
Macron praised French secularism and ordered a crackdown on radical Islam. His critics say he's unleashing another wave of Islamophobia. Leading the pack, the Turkish president Recep Tayyip Erdogan, questioning Macron's mental health and yesterday calling for a French boycott. I call on our people never to buy French products, he's saying. This is Jordan. French beauty creams being taken off the shelves, a sign saying, in solidarity with the Prophet Muhammad. In Yemen, it was Perrier. Despite being NATO allies, Turkey and France are on opposite sides of the geopolitical fence. Macron's European Union partners have come to his defense. We stand in solidarity at France's side, says the German Foreign Minister Heiko Maas, calling Erdogan's personal attacks against Macron a new low point. But the flames are a long way from burning themselves out. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
Next, the Republicans behind an aggressive, at times mean campaign to defeat Donald Trump.
What if you said to like Jared and Ivanka, say they are the most corrupt White House staffers in American history? Totally true. I love making that charge.
An exclusive glimpse behind the scenes of the Lincoln Project.
And a little later, the new research into the connection between COVID-19 and vitamin D.
Welcome back. Lawyers for Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner are threatening to sue the group called the Lincoln Project for ads that just went up in New York City, appearing to show the couple utterly dismissing the pain and death of COVID. It is a cruel ad from a group that makes no apologies. Once Republican spin doctors, now trying to get Trump out. They granted our cameras exclusive access to their operations. The party of Lincoln is how Republicans have long been known. But what would he make of something called the Lincoln Project? Once powerful Republican operatives working against a Republican president. Far from D.C., the former spin doctors and puppet masters have decamped to Park City, Utah, to work and plot in their own pandemic political bubble.
The most powerful.
Different from other never-Trumper groups for the blistering takes that swarm social media.
Something's wrong with Donald Trump. He's shaky, weak.
Their spots are mean.
Trump is not well.
And mocking.
Don't cry for me, White House staffers.
Almost all hard to forget, including the spot Covita. A slam at Trump's return to the White House after getting the virus.
I broke my promise, won't keep my distance.
How many views did that get?
7 million.
Not too
That's
shabby.
just Twitter.
That's going to go down as one of our hilarious, it's iconic.
The Lincoln Project opened its doors to us the day they celebrated the reach of that Covita ad.
That was a great ad.
They're as cocky as they are experienced, having worked for just about every significant Republican candidate in the last 30 years. Everything they once threw at Democrats, they now throw at Donald Trump.
The head of Fox News, Rupert Murdoch, is now saying Trump is done. It's cooked. It's over.
It's a good idea.
So I drive into their psychological space.
Is to say Rupert Murdoch never wakes up with a loser. He cuts them loose.
Rupert Murdoch knows Trump's a loser.
How much lead time do we know where he is?
So we have 36 hours. So any of these circles, those are Pence's and his schedules.
Wherever Trump campaigns, they seed the market with spots intended to make him furious, and it's worked. Trump took to Twitter recently, diminishing all of them by name, calling them losers.
It's a mistake for us not to have them under pressure. I think we want to just create doom in D.C.
Yeah, we want them depressed and angry.
What evidence do you have that those ads work, especially with people who don't like what they consider to be the meanness of Trump? If you're slapping back with mean ads about them, what makes you think that's going to work?
Our ads aren't mean. Our ads are truthful. They tell the truth, and this is the process by which we get to communicate to the American people and advocate the removal of this unfit man from the most important elected office in the world.
Let's just real quick talk about when he gets back about what we have up in D.C. right now.
In the last days of the campaign, getting under Trump's skin seems to mean going after his most trusted deputies, his family.
Because they're making such a play on Hunter Biden right now, he's trying to make deals in China. I think it's time for us to visit Ivanka one last time.
What if you said to Jared and Ivanka, see, they are the most corrupt White House staffers in American history?
Mm-hmm. Totally true.
I love making that charge. They're all going now.
Those moments of strategizing our cameras witnessed may have been part of the work behind stark billboards in Times Square aimed at Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner, suggesting they couldn't care less about COVID deaths in New York. The couple's lawyers are threatening to sue the Lincoln Project, want the ads removed.
There's only one way to stop a parasite.
The confidence they have that harsh ads work is far from universally accepted.
Donald Trump's presidency.
Amanda Becker of the 19th, an online publication focusing on politics and gender, has been watching the Lincoln Project carefully. When you started looking into the Lincoln Project, what struck you about it?
Experts told me that women are even less likely to find negative ads compelling than men are. So if your swing voters are women and you're running negative ads, I'm not sure that that is the most effective way to reach them. You want to instead lay out a roadmap, and how other groups are doing this is by having other people who have changed their minds speak to camera and talk about from the heart kind of what led them to change their mind about the president. When I was writing the story, I reached out a couple of times just asking them questions about things like, have you done focus groups with women? If you have, what are you hearing from them about what they need to know headed into this election?
Why wouldn't you answer those questions?
Because it's none of her business. What the election is about is Donald Trump, right? It's not about the Lincoln Project, right? We're the tip of a spear in focusing attention on the unfitness of Donald Trump. That's what the story is.
Some people continue to say they're not convinced that these ads work, particularly with suburban women. It makes them turn away. How much does that worry you?
This world is full of folks who've never been in a campaign before, who are experts on what ads work and don't work. And there's an illusion about negative ads out there in the minds of a lot of people that, it turns them off, it turns them away. Yes, in some cases it does, and it's meant to in some cases. It is meant to evoke powerful emotions, and we help them make those choices, even if it's tearing off the Band-Aid may sting for a minute. Those pushes actually work.
People are dying, but you line your pockets deep. Commander-in-Chief.
I still think we've made the right aesthetic decision by never showing his face.
I agree.
I think it's the right.
No, it doesn't need it.
Perfect.
To watch them in attack mode is to remember what they used to do. Wilson worked on an anti-Obama ad so fierce John McCain refused to air it.
All right, so you hit a home run. What's next?
Schmidt helped bring on Sarah Palin as a VP candidate. They're accused of awakening the very brand of populism they now fight. We all know Donald Trump just didn't show up one day. The ground was prepared for him. Do you ask yourselves how much of a hand you had in that?
There are some people out on the left who think that we owe some sort of apology because of our affiliation with the Republican Party. They're going to have to wait a little longer for the apology that's never coming, because the level of sanctimony involved in someone demanding that you apologize for your beliefs is not something I don't think that any of us are particularly into. And you know what? We lost. We lost. Right? The party's been taken over. Right? It is by definition in its platform a cult of personality where membership requires obedience and loyalty to Trump.
I know nothing about QAnon.
They've raised and spent tens of millions. Huge donations poured in after the president criticized them.
I couldn't pay for this, okay? I couldn't pay him to do this. Left side of the screen, crazy man outside the bus station screaming. Right side of the screen, president.
Relax.
That's what people are going to see.
So yes, they make him mad, and maybe they've persuaded voters. They've certainly lost friends over this. 1 week to know if any of it has been worth it.
So these folks have a real clear mission between now and November 3rd. I guess the question is, what happens after that?
Well, I mean, clearly they think the Republican Party needs remaking. Whether they'll be part of that is really unclear. It is clear, though, that they've had a lot of opportunities out of this. You might be looking at the making of a huge media business after this. They've been approached about films, nonfiction series, TV, streaming, so it's possible the Lincoln Project turns into a bit of a media empire. We'll see.
Interesting. Okay. Next, we'll hear from voters in a key battleground state.
It could be the straw to break the camel's back.
Why some fear voting problems could tip the scales in Pennsylvania. Welcome back. Pennsylvania is one of the key battleground states whose electoral votes could decide the outcome of next week's election in the United States. But as Stephen D'Souza tells us, many there are worried about whether their ballot will even be counted.
Last year, in an effort to modernize its elections, Pennsylvania made mail-in ballots available to anyone. It was supposed to make voting quicker and more secure. Instead, it's led to confusion.
I never received my ballot, so I really wanted to make sure my ballot counted.
I sent away registered ballots for my mother, my 82-year-old, and my daughter. Nothing ever came back.
We live in the same household.
Yeah.
I got my ballot, and he never got his.
The pandemic led to a surge in demand for mail-in ballots. That was followed by a flood of lawsuits as Republicans and Democrats fought over everything from registration deadlines to signatures.
Thank you.
Add to that the president's attacks on the post office and the integrity of mail-in voting, and it's made for uncertain times for voters. So those who did get a ballot aren't taking any chances.
I don't trust the mail to get there in time. I want to make sure it counted.
There's a lot of controversy. I never had a problem with the mail, but there's just a lot of stuff going on.
Here, even the envelope is a potential pitfall. Each ballot comes with 2 envelopes. The first, a secrecy envelope, then the return envelope. If voters don't use both, it's called a naked ballot, and it's rejected. Officials warn potentially hundreds of thousands of naked ballots could be tossed aside. This in a state decided by just 44,000 votes in 2016. It's a concern for Democrats especially, who make up the overwhelming majority of mail-in ballots.
To see that voter not have their voice heard or their vote counted simply because of a technicality is really, really unfair.
I am definitely concerned.
State Republicans say they're just trying to protect the integrity and security of the election.
Whether it be naked ballots, whether it be poll watchers during this early voting going on, all these add eyes to the process and add integrity to the process.
Critics say all the hurdles only work to keep some voters at home.
In a lot of these states, we're talking about blatant voter suppression, not just here in Pennsylvania, but across the country.
Another big problem, some states count early ballots as they come in. Pennsylvania officials can't start counting until Election Day. Also, a court ruled that mail-in ballots can be accepted up to 3 days after Election Day. That means on November 3rd, only one thing is certain.
There will not be full election results on November 3rd. That is one thing that's for sure.
So, if the race is close, the country could be waiting days for Pennsylvania's final results.
Election night, I don't think anybody's going to be sleeping. You're going to be up, biting their fingernails and praying.
Praying that their votes matter.
It could be the straw to break the camel's back.
They know what's at stake, and they'll wait as long as it takes to see it through. Stephen D'Souza, CBC News, Philadelphia.
Next on The National, could a simple supplement be used to fight COVID-19? We take a closer look at the research into vitamin D. Experts weigh in after the break.
I'm Jamie Poisson, and tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast Front Burner, Keith Raniere, leader of NXIVM, has been sentenced to 120 years in prison for crimes that turned followers into sex slaves branded with his initials. Tomorrow, how the trial played out. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
A new study has shown most patients with COVID-19 at a hospital in Spain had a vitamin D deficiency. So is it worth loading up on supplements? As our health reporter Vicadopia tells us, the answer might not be as simple as that.
I'm in such perfect shape.
Doctors prescribed vitamin D to the U.S. president as part of his treatment. Researchers noticed how people sick with COVID-19 often had a deficiency.
Is this a coincidence? Maybe not.
This scientist is trying to find out with the launch of a new clinical trial in the UK using vitamin D supplements.
It boosts innate antiviral immunity in the lining of the lung, and it also downregulates harmful inflammation. And this combination of actions suggests that it might be a good candidate for COVID-19.
Vitamin D has long been researched for other conditions, and the results often fall short. This latest study from Spain has generated a lot of enthusiasm. It found more than 80% of COVID patients at one hospital were vitamin D deficient. The problem is they were also more likely to have hypertension and heart disease. Researchers admit that makes it hard to draw any conclusions.
So I think there's reason to be skeptical about the value of vitamin D, but I think we have to be open-minded. We're in the middle of a pandemic, right? We've got to try stuff.
About 2/3 of Canadians already get enough vitamin D from natural sources or supplements, according to Statistics Canada. So will taking extra protect you from COVID-19?
You probably don't need any supplemental vitamin D. You're getting plenty, and in my opinion, the risks would outweigh the benefits.
I can look.
This pediatrician says that hasn't stopped parents from thinking they can boost their children's immune systems.
I see some kids who are on 1,000 units, 2,000 units, and they're more susceptible to vitamin D, it seems, because they end up getting what we call hypercalciuria, or peeing too much calcium, and they end up getting kidney stones.
And the treatment for too much vitamin D is simple enough. Just stop taking it. Vicadopia, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, next on The National, a Toronto carpenter gets creative. What this is and how it might save lives this winter. Next on Our Moment. What Khalil Sivre is building here may not look like much, but it's actually the makings of a tiny mobile shelter. They're insulated, too, intended to provide warmth for people who would otherwise be living in tents this winter. And Khalil's giving them away to anyone who wants one. His effort is Our Moment.
These are what we're putting together and finding people that are sleeping in tents outside, asking them if they could use something to keep them warm for the winter. And this is designed just so your body heat can keep it warm. It's gonna be like living in a tent and long enough to lay down in, tall enough to sit up in perfectly. The second one was dropped off for an old guy named Richie, and he was pretty excited. He just started laughing, and he offered me money. He's like, how much is it gonna cost? People are donating money so I can do this, so I can give it to you for free. And he's like, oh wow, like, that's crazy. Guess it just seemed like something I could do that would be useful, because there's so many people staying in tents. I might as well try to do it. I don't know.
So listen, clearly this is not a simple endeavor, right? I mean, just to give you an example, he's trying not to run in contravention of zoning bylaws, so he's but even on that front, he's trying to work with a local church to see if they'll provide some land so that he can put these things out.
And he knows too, I mean, he told our producer Liza, he knows people are worried about safety, so he's going to put, smoke detectors in all of these, and he hopes that they last for as long as 10 years, and he said he just felt he had to do something. That is a national for October 27th. Good night.
Good night.